American supernatural thriller Archive 81 dropped earlier this year on Netflix and was relatively well received. However, there have been reports that Netflix have actually canceled the show after a successful first season. So unless they find another streaming service who will fund the second season, we could have seen the last of the show already. Today, we're discussing why it was canceled and what the likelihood is of seeing a second season elsewhere. First up, how did the first season end? Let's discuss. As you probably know, all episodes of Archive 81 were available the day the show released on Netflix back in January, and the finale saw Melody and Annabelle reunite in the psych ward thanks to Steve. However, Steve won't actually let Melody leave the facility of her own safety, but she manages to flee to try and save Jess, who left a box of tapes for Dan via Annabelle. The tapes show evidence that Melody returned to try to save Jess before she's knocked out by John Smith. Elsewhere, Tamara is used in the cult's ritual in place of Jessica as Iris appears in the portal, which Melody and Sam then enter. Jess then turns up with her camera in tow, but escapes as the ritual threatens to burn the place down. Dan asks Davenport to help finding Melody, but is refused, as Dan and Mark attempt the ritual themselves, before Bobby pulls a gun on them to force them to stop. She then reveals that she's actually Baldung and Melody's birth mother. Pretty wild. Dan is then sent to the other world, where he sees his family and finds Melody, but they're chased by Kylego. They're helped by Samuel, who pulls Melody through so she can be reunited with her mother. Dan then wakes up in the hospital to the realization that he's actually in 1994. What did you make of the finale of the show as a whole? Let us know below. Next up, why was the show canceled? Stay tuned to find out. As is common with little-known shows, Archive 81 seemingly came out of nowhere to take Netflix by storm, and after its first week, sat inside the streaming platform's top 10. But its reign proved short, unfortunately for showrunners. The show is actually based on a 2016 podcast which features the tale of a man called Dan, who's hired to piece together some documentary footage from the 90s. However, mystery ensues as Dan uncovers some pretty bizarre goings-on. Unfortunately though, even despite an 86% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, the Netflix hierarchy have reportedly decided not to renew it for a second season, as they simply believe it wouldn't be able to maintain the early success it showed. Apparently, Netflix assesses every decision it makes based on multiple parameters, such as budget, viewership spikes, and viewer retention, and once they had reviewed this data, they made the pretty unpopular decision to give the show the boot from the streaming service. Of course, it's a shame Netflix have taken this stance, as the story was pretty compelling one, as it didn't just stick to the old tired horror formula. The way the story was told was also refreshing, following the protagonist as he uncovered the story for himself through the recorded tapes. What have you made of Netflix's decision to axe the show after just a solitary season? Give us your opinions below. So, what are the chances of a second season? Of course, now that Netflix is out, the producers will have to try and find another platform who might want to pick it up. And as we know, the podcast actually ran for 3 seasons, so there's plenty more story to be told. In a recent interview, showrunner Rebecca Sonneschein made no bones about the fact that she sees it as a multiple season project, saying, "I think there are more stories to tell. I think we end on a good cliffhanger that needs to be addressed, and we introduce a lot of characters that surround Dan and Melody that have very rich and interesting lives to explore further. So yeah, we hope to keep going." Of course, this doesn't mean for sure that there will be a second season, but at least we know the show's creators are still on board. Sonneschein also revealed that throughout the first season, the team were working on planting future themes into the first batch of episodes, which is even more evidence that we might be set for a second season, if someone decides to pick it up. She went on to say, "There are a lot of little Easter eggs, or little things like that if you're like, I wonder if that's something that is part of the mythology and that will be explored further." And yes, do you think we will see a second season? Give us your thoughts below. So what might a second season include? Stick around to find out. Sonneschein wasn't backwards and coming forwards when she was discussing a potential second season, and spoke of how they had to leave certain things out of the first season because they simply didn't have the room to include it. And of course, the season 1 finale left us with a lot of unanswered questions, which fans will need answered if and when we get a second season. Hopefully, we will find out who exactly lit the fire that killed Dan's family, and Sonneschein herself admitted that the showrunners definitely know who did that, and that is season 2. Exciting. hiding? Who do you think did it? We're also wondering about the exact nature of the relationship between Samuel, our eccentric cult leader, and the millionaire Virgil. As we know, Virgil was the one who hired Dan to look into the tapes, and the first season actually showed us that Samuel and Virgil are brothers. But we still don't really know what their intentions are, and the showrunners have said that this will be at the top of their list to explore should a second season eventually be commissioned. It was also revealed that the second season would still include the found footage element, which proved so successful throughout the first installment. What would you guys like to see covered if the showrunners can find another network for the second season? Let us know below. News of Netflix canceling another popular supernatural show now. Stay tuned. After the shocking news that Netflix would not be renewing Archive 81 recently, it has also been revealed that the popular streaming platform has axed another horror show, Lock and Key. However, it won't just end abruptly. The show will actually finish its current third season, which is a bit of a silver lining at least. This will give the series the opportunity to wrap up any outstanding storylines and give its fans the chance to say goodbye properly. Lock and Key was super successful throughout the first season, and the streaming giant ordered another 2 seasons almost straight away. So it seems as though only having 3 seasons might have been the plan all along. The show's producers and runners, Carlton Cuse and Meredith Averill, said, "Once we began working on the series, we felt 3 seasons was the ideal length to bring the story of the Locke family and their Key House adventures to a satisfying conclusion. As storytellers, we are grateful that we had the opportunity to tell our version of Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez's incredible story, exactly the way we wanted. We're keeping the magical keys, though, for our own personal use." Well, there you have it then. It's not always the case of Netflix axing shows just because they're not pulling in the viewers anymore. Who is your favorite character on Lock and Key? Some Mamadou Athie news now. Our main man, Mamadou, is set to be properly introduced to the world this year, as he will star in the next Jurassic World franchise movie, Jurassic World Dominion. The Mauritian American is no stranger to movies, but it's fair to say he has never appeared in a production of this size or popularity. The movie, which will see all the main characters from the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies come together for the very first time, will introduce Athie in his first blockbuster, but as yet, not much is known regarding the role he'll play. Having made his big film break in the 2015 movie Experimenter, where he played the role of Crying Man, he slowly worked his way to the top of the profession, and whilst he is probably best known for his role on Sorry for Your Loss as Matt Greer, or maybe as Dan on Archive 81, we are super excited to see what he can do with his first truly big role on this upcoming dino flick. It has been revealed that Mamadou is a close personal friend of Wanda Maximoff herself, Elizabeth Olsen, which is pretty cool. What do you guys expect to see from our man in his first big role? Hopefully he smashes it out of the park. Get it? As always, thanks for tuning in today, and remember to join us next time when we will be discussing some other fun bits and pieces. Also, if you're feeling today's video, why not do us a solid by liking and sharing it? And if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, what on earth are you waiting for? Bye, guys.